Welcome to Stairway to English. In this video, you will listen to and read the full story of Stoicism in 5 episodes, from its birth in Athens to its meaning today. If you enjoy this lesson, please like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Episode 1: The Birth of Stoicism in Ancient Athens. Stoicism is one of the most influential philosophies in the history of the world. It started more than 2,000 years ago in ancient Greece, but its ideas are still alive today. Many people from different times in different places have used Stoicism to guide their lives, from Roman emperors to modern business leaders, from writers to ordinary people. The wisdom of Stoicism continues to help people face problems with courage and calmness. The story of Stoicism begins in Athens around the year 300 BC. A man named Zeno of Citium arrived in the city after a great personal disaster. He had lost his wealth in a shipwreck. When he came to Athens, he had almost nothing. But he found something greater than money. He found philosophy. Zeno began to listen to different teachers, and he studied their ideas carefully. Soon, he created his own school of thought, which people later called Stoicism. The name comes from the Stoa Poikile, or painted porch, where Zeno and his students met to discuss philosophy. Stoicism taught that happiness does not depend on wealth, health, or power. Instead, true happiness comes from living a life of virtue. For the Stoics, virtue means wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. These 4 values are the heart of their philosophy. If a person lives with these values, then nothing outside of them can destroy their peace of mind. The Stoics believe that the world is ruled by reason, which they called the logos. Everything that happens in the universe has a place in this rational order. People cannot control the outside world, but they can control their thoughts, their choices, and their actions. This is one of the central lessons of Stoicism. Focus on what you can control and accept what you cannot. Zeno's ideas grew in popularity. His students and followers continued to teach Stoicism, and the philosophy slowly spread across Greece. Later, it traveled to Rome, where it became even more famous. Roman thinkers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Emperor Marcus Aurelius are among the greatest names in Stoic history. They each gave their own voice to Stoicism, and their writings still survive today. The Stoics also believed that emotions like anger, fear, or sadness often come from false judgments. For example, if someone insults you, you may feel angry because you think their words harm you. But the Stoics said that the words of another person cannot truly hurt your inner self. Only your own mind has power over you. If you learn to control your judgments, you can control your emotions. This is not easy, but it brings great freedom. In daily life, Stoicism is practical. It is not only about reading or thinking, it is about practice. The Stoics trained themselves every day to remain calm, to act with justice, and to remember that life is short and uncertain. They practiced imagining the worst that could happen, not to become negative, but to prepare their minds. If you expect difficulties, then you are not surprised when they come. Instead, you can meet them with strength. Zeno himself lived a life of simplicity. He did not return to wealth or luxury. Instead, he showed his students that the most important thing was character. After many years of teaching, he became respected in Athens. When he died, the city gave him honors, showing how much people valued his wisdom. The beginning of Stoicism in Athens was only the first step in a long journey. In the next episodes, we will see how Stoicism moved to Rome, how great thinkers developed it further, and how its ideas continued to live through history. Even today, people use Stoic wisdom to face challenges, to reduce stress, and to live with purpose. Episode 2: Stoicism in Rome, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius. After the early years in Athens, the philosophy of Stoicism began to grow and spread to other parts of the world, especially Rome. While Zeno of Citium was the founder, the ideas of Stoicism continued to develop through other great teachers. These thinkers not only explained Zeno's principles, but also expanded them, giving Stoicism a stronger voice and a wider influence. One of the most important Stoic teachers after Zeno was Cleanthes. Cleanthes was a man of great discipline. He was poor, but he worked hard every night to earn money by carrying water. During the day, he studied philosophy with Zeno. Cleanthes showed that a Stoic life was not about wealth or comfort, but about dedication and inner strength. He became the head of the Stoic school after Zeno and wrote many works, including a famous hymn to Zeus, which praised the rational order of the universe. His life was an example of patience and determination, two qualities that Stoicism admired. Another great figure was Chrysippus. He is sometimes called the second founder of Stoicism because he gave the philosophy a strong logical foundation. He wrote hundreds of books and explained Stoicism in clear detail. Chrysippus focused on logic, ethics, and physics, showing that Stoicism was not only a way of life, but also a complete system of thought. Without him, Stoicism might not have survived so long. When Stoicism reached Rome, it found new life. Roman culture admired discipline, duty, and courage, so the ideas of Stoicism fit naturally. The Romans also faced many challenges: wars, political struggles, and personal loss. Stoicism offered them a philosophy that could bring peace and direction in difficult times. One of the most famous Stoic Romans was Seneca. He was an advisor to the Emperor Nero, but he also wrote letters and essays that shared Stoic wisdom. In his writings, he often reminded people that life is short and that death comes for everyone. For Seneca, the best way to live was to use time wisely, to practice self-control, and to focus on virtue. His words are still powerful today, teaching us not to waste life on fear or anger. Another great teacher was Epictetus. Unlike Seneca, he was born a slave. His early life was full of hardship, but he discovered freedom in philosophy. Epictetus taught that no one could take away your freedom of mind. Even if you are poor, sick, or imprisoned, you still control how you respond to life. This idea made his teachings deeply inspiring. His students collected his lectures, which became known as the Discourses and the Enchiridion. These works remain central to Stoic philosophy even now. Finally, we come to Marcus Aurelius, perhaps the most famous Stoic of all. He was a Roman emperor, ruling a vast and troubled empire. Despite his power, he wrote personal reflections, known today as meditations. In these writings, Marcus Aurelius spoke honestly about his struggles, his duties, and his desire to live according to Stoic virtue. His words are simple but profound. They show that even the most powerful man in the world needed philosophy to keep balance and peace inside himself. The Roman Stoics gave Stoicism a practical voice. They did not live in quiet schools or only write about theory. They faced politics, power, slavery, and war, yet they lived with the same Stoic principles. They taught that wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control are not just ideas, but tools for survival and growth. As Stoicism spread through the Roman Empire, it influenced not only individuals, but also culture. Leaders admired it, soldiers practiced it, and ordinary citizens found comfort in it. Even though times changed, the Stoic message remained the same. Focus on what you can control, accept what you cannot, and live with virtue. The history of Stoicism in Rome shows us that philosophy is not something distant or abstract. It is something that can guide everyday life. It is not only for thinkers or teachers, but for everyone who faces challenges. The Romans proved that Stoicism could be lived in the palace, in the battlefield, or even in slavery. This is why Stoicism survived for centuries and still speaks to people today. Episode 3: Training the Mind with Stoic Exercises. Stoicism did not only live in the writings of philosophers or the speeches of teachers, it also lived in daily practices. The Stoics believed that philosophy was not about speaking clever words, but about transforming your life. For them, wisdom was not something you only learned, it was something you practiced every day. This practical side of Stoicism is one of the main reasons why it survived so long and why it continues to inspire people today. One of the most important practices in Stoicism is reflection. The Stoics advised people to reflect every morning and every evening. In the morning, you should prepare your mind for the day. You can remind yourself that you may meet rude, selfish, or difficult people. You cannot control how they act, but you can control how you respond. In the evening, you should look back at the day. Ask yourself, did I live with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control? Where did I fail, and where did I succeed? This daily habit helps you grow little by little. Another key practice is what the philosophers called the view from above. This exercise asks you to imagine yourself rising high above the earth, looking down at the world from the sky. From that view, your problem seems small. The things that make you angry or worried lose their power. You remember that life is short and the world is bigger than your personal struggles. This practice gives perspective and helps you stay calm. The Stoics also taught the idea of controlling what is in your power and accepting what is not. For example, if you are sick, you cannot always control your body's condition, but you can control your attitude. You can still be patient, brave, and kind. If you lose money, you cannot always change that fact, but you can control how you react. Will you panic or will you stay strong? The Stoics practiced this separation every day, reminding themselves not to waste energy on things outside their control. Another practice was negative visualization. This might sound strange at first. It means imagining the worst that could happen, like losing your job, losing your health, or losing a loved one. The purpose is not to make you sad, but to prepare your mind. If you think about these possibilities, you appreciate more what you have now. You also become stronger when life brings difficulties because you have already prepared yourself mentally. The Stoics also valued simplicity. They practiced living with less so that they would not become dependent on wealth or comfort. Some Stoics would occasionally sleep on the floor, eat very little, or wear simple clothes to train their minds. By doing this, they reminded themselves that happiness does not come from luxury, it comes from character. If you can live happily with little, then you are free. Writing was another tool for Stoics. Many of them kept personal notes or journals. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations as private reflections, not for publication. Seneca wrote letters to a friend, sharing his struggles and lessons. These writings were ways to practice philosophy, not just to teach it. They show us that Stoicism was personal and practical, something to use in everyday life. In times of difficulty, Stoic practice was especially powerful. Imagine a soldier going into battle, a politician facing angry crowds, or a slave suffering harsh treatment. Stoicism gave them strength because it reminded them that no one can take away the control of their mind. Even in pain, even in danger, they could choose to live with courage and virtue. This practical side of Stoicism explains why it survived for centuries. Philosophies that only live in books may disappear, but philosophies that people practice in life stay alive. Stoicism was like training for the mind. Just as athletes train the body, it was exercise for the soul, giving people peace, strength, and freedom in a world full of uncertainty. The Stoics did not promise an easy life. They knew that suffering, loss, and death are part of human existence. But they promised that philosophy could give you tools to face these realities with dignity. That is why their exercises are still useful today. Modern people also feel stress, anxiety, and fear. By practicing reflection, perspective, acceptance, and simplicity, we can find peace even in a busy and uncertain world. Episode 4: The Influence of Stoicism Through History. Stoicism was not only a philosophy of ancient Greece and Rome. Its influence continued long after those civilizations changed and fell. The ideas of Zeno, Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius traveled through time, reaching people in different cultures and centuries. Even when the world forgot many other schools of philosophy, Stoicism remained alive because its wisdom was simple, clear, and useful for real life. In the early centuries of Christianity, Stoicism had a surprising influence. Many Christian thinkers respected Stoic ideas, especially about self-control, inner freedom, and the importance of virtue. Some church fathers even used Stoic concepts when writing about faith and moral life. Of course, Christianity and Stoicism are different in many ways, but the similarities helped Stoic thought survive during times when other ancient philosophies were rejected. During the Middle Ages, Stoicism was not as strong as before, but pieces of it still lived in writings and teachings. Monks, scholars, and leaders found Stoic wisdom useful for discipline, patience, and humility. The idea of focusing on what you can control and accepting what you cannot was close to religious teachings about trusting God and remaining calm in hardship. In the Renaissance, when Europe rediscovered the knowledge of Greece and Rome, Stoicism came back with power. Humanist thinkers read the works of Seneca and Epictetus with great interest. They admired how these philosophers connected reason, virtue, and daily life. Artists, writers, and politicians also found inspiration in Stoic ideas. The Renaissance was a time of creativity and change, but also of uncertainty. Stoicism gave people strength to face new challenges with balance and courage. Later, in the Age of Enlightenment, Stoicism again played a role. Philosophers like Descartes, Spinoza, and Kant all showed Stoic influence in their ideas about reason, self-control, and moral duty. For Enlightenment thinkers, the Stoic idea that the universe is ordered by reason matched their belief in science and rational thought. Stoicism offered a bridge between ancient wisdom and modern philosophy. Even in the modern world, Stoicism has never disappeared. In the 20th century, leaders, soldiers, and writers turned to Stoicism in times of crisis. For example, during World War II, people used the words of Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius to stay strong in difficult moments. The idea that you cannot control what happens, but you can control how you respond, gave hope and courage to millions. In recent years, Stoicism has grown popular again in many countries. Business leaders, athletes, and ordinary people use Stoic principles to manage stress, to stay focused, and to live with purpose. Books about Stoicism are bestsellers, podcasts discuss it, and many people practice Stoic exercises in their daily routines. The internet has made Stoic wisdom available to millions of learners across the world. The reason for this lasting influence is clear. Stoicism is not a philosophy of the classroom only. It is a philosophy of life. Its core principles, virtue, self-control, wisdom, and acceptance are universal. They can help a Roman emperor in the 2nd century, a soldier in the 20th century, or a student in the 21st century. Times change, but human challenges remain the same. We all face fear, loss, stress, and uncertainty. Stoicism offers a timeless guide. The history of Stoicism shows that real wisdom never dies. It adapts, it travels, and it speaks to new generations. From the streets of Athens to the palaces of Rome, from monasteries to modern offices, Stoicism has been a companion to human beings for more than 2,000 years. In the next and final episode, we will look at why Stoicism matters today more than ever, and how anyone, no matter where they live, can use its teachings to live a stronger and calmer life. Episode 5. Why Stoicism Still Matters Today. In the modern world, life is faster, busier, and more stressful than ever before. People face pressure from work, family, money, and society. Technology brings us constant news, information, and distractions. Many people feel anxious, tired, or lost in this busy environment. But the teachings of Stoicism are as useful today as they were 2,000 years ago. They give us tools to stay calm, focused, and strong in the middle of chaos. One of the first lessons of Stoicism that helps today is the difference between what we can control and what we cannot control. For example, you cannot control the economy, the weather, or how other people behave, but you can control your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. When you stop wasting energy on things outside your control, life becomes lighter. You focus on what is possible and let go of what is impossible. This simple but powerful practice reduces stress and gives peace of mind. Another reason Stoicism matters today is its lesson on emotions. Many people feel controlled by anger, fear, jealousy, or sadness. Stoicism teaches that emotions come from our judgments. If we change how we see a situation, we can change how we feel. For example, if someone insults you online, you can choose to see it as an attack and then feel angry. Or you can choose to see it as empty words that cannot hurt your true self. In this way, Stoicism gives emotional freedom in a world where people are often prisoners of their feelings. Stoicism also teaches us to value time. Seneca once said that life is not short, but people waste much of it. Today, this advice is more important than ever. Many hours are lost on social media, endless entertainment, or worrying about the future. Stoicism reminds us that life is uncertain and death can come at any moment. This is not meant to make us sad, but to push us to use our time wisely. If you live each day with purpose, then you are truly alive. The practice of gratitude is another Stoic lesson for today. By imagining that we might lose the things we love, we learn to appreciate them more deeply. Modern life often makes us want more and more, but Stoicism shows us that happiness comes not from wanting, but from being grateful for what we already have. Stoicism also gives strength in failure and difficulty. Modern culture often tells us that success is everything and failure is shameful. But Stoics teach that failure is part of life and can be a teacher. What matters is not the result, but the effort and the virtue with which we act. If you act with courage, justice, self-control, and wisdom, then you succeed no matter the outcome. In today's world, Stoicism is also being used in psychology and therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, one of the most effective modern therapies, is directly influenced by Stoic ideas. It teaches people to challenge false thoughts, to control their judgments, and to change harmful behaviors. This shows how Stoicism is not just ancient philosophy, but also modern science. Finally, Stoicism matters today because it reminds us of our shared humanity. The Stoics believe that all people are part of a single community guided by reason. This idea of unity is important in a world divided by politics, race, religion, and nationality. Stoicism teaches respect, justice, and kindness toward others because we are all citizens of the same universe. The wisdom of Stoicism has traveled across centuries because it speaks to the human heart. It tells us that no matter what happens outside, we have the power to create peace inside. It tells us that happiness is not in wealth, power, or fame, but in virtue. It tells us that we can face pain, loss, and death with dignity. As you finish this journey through the history and practice of Stoicism, remember that philosophy is not just words, it is action. Each day is a chance to live with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. If you practice these values, then you are walking the Stoic path. And that path, though old, is still alive today, guiding anyone who wants to live with strength and peace in a world full of uncertainty.